Good morning. Welcome to today's drive. Make sure you keep your hands, arms, toesies, little fingers, assholes, all inside the vehicle while it's in motion. And enjoy the ride.
It is Friday, 10:30 a.m. and we are embarking our 2,200 mile journey to Middlebury, Indiana, to the Coachmen factory. I'm bringing a cot, a little Tempur-Pedic mattress that I got from work, because I can't even use the bed. It won't go down. Again, we have no electricity, so everything is just locked up. Brought myself a little handheld cooler in case I want to refrigerate things. So I got all the necessities, and then I'll grab some water, these little gallon water jugs, and then if I gotta, go beep beep boop boop, I could just throw that down the drain and flush it. So we'll see how it goes. The 3-day trip to Middlebury, Indiana was rough. The hours of nonstop driving wore me down, but I did get to stop and try to make the best of it and enjoy some pretty nice nature moments and sightseeing. Since all life support systems on the van were down, I was relinquished to truck stop showers and some pretty cold nights. But all in all, it wasn't bad, and we made it safe and sound in one piece. I already explained in my previous video why I decided to make the drive all the way up to the Coachmen factory in Middlebury, Indiana. This trip was definitely not on the cheap side, but I'll give you guys a more detailed breakdown of all the costs and how much I really paid to get my van fixed. I'm going to start this video off by talking about my experience with the Coachmen customer service team. Let's just say when I showed up to Coachmen, I wasn't the happiest camper. I was pretty upset that I was having these issues that I was having 3 weeks into ownership, and that the state of the RV world currently forced me to make a 32-hour drive up to Middlebury, Indiana to get my issues resolved, instead of trying to take it to an RV dealer or an RV service center around my area. As the montage in my previous video showed, it's about a 2 to 6 month wait to get your RV down to an RV service center, get parts, and have it fixed. We will get into complete detail on my customer service experience, but what I will say now is that it was a very surprising and positive experience. I'll also break down everything that Coachmen fixed on my Nova and how they fixed it. We'll also talk about what was not fixed by Coachmen, why, and what other issues I have discovered after leaving the Coachmen factory. After we discuss the fixings and the non-fixings on my Coachmen Nova, I'm going to talk to you guys about my experience with Nick Recchio. Nick Recchio is the GM of Coachmen Class B segment, and he took about an hour out of his day to sit with me and discuss all the issues that I was having with the Nova and a way forward. So I'm going to give you guys a detailed debrief of Nick's and mine's conversation and what came of that conversation and what things we might be able to expect from Coachmen moving forward. Finally, just like last video, we're gonna close this out with my final thoughts. Before you guys finish this video, I do wanna say that I think it's important to take both of my reviews, part 1 and part 2, in your decision making when passing judgment on Coachmen. After my whole Nova ordeal and experience, and in talking with other owners, and even in talking with some of the individuals who work at these big manufacturers, not just Coachmen, there's a couple other ones in Middlebury, I've learned that these issues that I've seen, these quality issues, this craftsmanship issues that I've seen, are not unique to Coachmen, and they plague most, if not all, of the major RV manufacturers. So take that into account when passing judgment on Coachmen. And again, I will discuss all of this more in detail in my final thoughts segment. But we made it to Coachmen, and now meet Jake, but he's not from State Farm. All right, what's up, everybody? I'm here with Jake.
Hey.
Jake, can you tell everybody what you do for Coachmen?
I'm a service technician for the Coachmen Class B division. I work on the Novas, Gallerias, and the Beyonds.
Yeah, so Jake is the guy that helped me out when I first arrived here from start to finish. I've been here for 3 days now. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Jake because you guys saw the first video about all the things I didn't like and stuff that kind of upset me. Jake gave me probably the best customer service experience I've ever had in my life dealing with any company. And it definitely turned my opinion around about Coachmen and the product here. So we'll talk about that more in the video, but I just wanted to give a quick 30-second shout out to Jake. So Jake, thank you so much.
Not a problem.
That's what
we're
you did,
here
man.
for.
And fantastic experience, brother. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
So, before we dive into the fixings and non-fixings, what I like about my Nova now, what I still don't like about my Nova, and what new things I found, I just want to remind everybody what I said earlier in the intro. These problems that I'm talking about are not unique to Coachmen. You buy any major manufacturer Class B right now, or any major manufacturer RV for that matter, you're going to have the same problems or problems similar to the ones I'm experiencing. So I don't want people to just think that this is a video about me just, crapping all over Coachmen. My point in this is to shine some light on the honesties of owning these Class B RVs, the honesties of what's going on at these major manufacturing plants, and hopefully arm people with the knowledge that I wish I had when I was shopping around for my Class B. So with that, let's get into the fixings. So what did Jake do? And fix number one, I wouldn't say it really is a fix. This is more of like a patch, a band-aid that Jake and Coachmen did to my Nova because of something that I discovered on the factory floor. Brought it to Nick's attention, and he is going to be trying to make an attempt to rectify this in the future. Now that issue is, anytime Coachmen drills your floor, your subfloor, your floor, all of this stuff here into the van, anytime a hole is cut for your AC, for your max air fan, for whatever, okay, these holes are not sealed. They are raw metal. And the fix for that is lapping compound, which you guys saw in my previous video wasn't even installed that great. There was cracking, peeling, disbonding from the lapping compound, which means that if water gets behind there, and the second that water makes contact with that bare steel, you're going to start a chemical, meteorological, scientific reaction, which causes rust. And that's not the rust you're going to be able to see. It's hidden rust, right? So this is going to start degrading until sometime in the future, you discover it when it's too late. Now the fix for that is, when you drill a hole in the body of a van, you seal it with paint. That is something that Coachmen has to figure out, because you cannot have bare metal that you just put a floor over, that you just put lapping compound over, and then it creates rust in the future. So where the floor and the cabinetry and the body of the van meets, and I don't know if you can see this, Jake added a little sealant here. Now the sealant is a temporary fix, because as you see right here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, it's already peeling and disbonding, right? So over time, this is gonna fail, right? But I'm hoping that in the meantime, this will prevent some water from going behind the subfloor to the floor of the van and touching that bare metal. Especially with Rolo's dog bowl there, he gets his, little smushy, cute, roly face all up in there, spreads water all over the van, and if on any kind of an incline, that stuff instantaneously will roll behind the fridge, the front of the van, these cabinets, that cabinets. Now, clearly, you can't really seal around this carpeted area here, so we are still at risk of having water run behind. Fix number two, as you guys saw in my first video, Coachmen forgot the sealant that went around this little crack right here, right? And that's kind of important, because it goes back to that same thing is, we don't want water back there, especially now that we know that every single Coachmen, Nova, Beyond, Galleria is built with bare metal. None of those holes, none of those cuts have been sealed up with any kind of paint or primer. And again, moving forward in the future, Nick did tell me that is one of his priorities, is to figure out a way to incorporate sealing up those holes and cuts on the factory floor, because this is a serious potential issue of rust, which can be easily avoided by making sure that there is no exposed bare metal when you complete your build. All right, fix number 3. Of course, the lithium system. You guys saw that mess of wires in my first video of the install. Coachmen can't really go in there, tear everything apart, and redo my wiring. The wiring is still a mess. I'm still very disappointed with the install of the lithium system and just all around general install of the electronics, the wiring components, everything on this Coachmen. But even though the wiring is still trash in my opinion, Coachmen did fix the Li3 system and everything seems to be working properly now. I've taken the van out on a couple camping trips since my trip up to Middlebury, and I've had 0 issues with the Li3 system operating the way it's been advertised. Now, again, we're gonna do some more testing in the future regarding the actual capacity and capabilities of the Li3 system when it comes to running the air conditioning, the heater, and whatnot. But it is working, and I am back living in my van with Rollo. The flexible solar panels installed in my Nova are advertised by Coachmen to be 220 watts of power. But when you actually look at the solar panels themselves, it says 100 watts each. Coachmen informed me that their brochure says 220 watts because even though they are 200 watts advertised on the solar panels, they are capable of 220 watts. I've done some research and this is definitely not the case. Not only can these solar panels not produce 220 watts, they can't even produce 200 watts and drastically degrade in the first year of being used. There are lots of problems with flexible solar panels, like their inability to release excess heat, amongst other numerous issues. But what that means for us as consumers is that flexible solar panels are known to degrade about 50 to 70% in their first year of service. After 2 months, my solar panels average about 40 to 70 watts on a normal given day. The most I have ever seen them produce is about 90 watts on my Xantrax controller. At 220 watts of advertised power, I should have at least enough to power my fridge and top off my battery when my van is off. This is not the case, and I have never seen a net positive on my Xantrax controller with everything off in the van except for the fridge. The light flickering when the water pump was turned on in my van was not fixed by Coachmen. They said that they found a wrong gauge of wire was utilized when this thing was assembled, so in order to fix this, they're gonna actually have to tear the whole shower apart to get behind and get to that wire. So we had to save this for a later date where they're actually gonna tear the shower out and fix the crack and gauge of wire all at the same time. So I've noticed this panel right here at the front of the van is starting to fall apart. These top screws are all pretty much stripped. And by pretty much, I mean they're stripped. I don't know what this top piece is made out of, but it seems to be made out of some cheap particle board or I don't know what, but it's not something that's good to put screws into. Now with the screws stripped and loosey-goosey, that whole top piece moves around and that top table shifts every single time I put any kind of weight on it. Now let's talk about my meeting with Nick Recchio. So Nick came down to find me on day 3 of my Middlebury adventures. He sat with me for over an hour and listened to every single gripe that I had. And the perception that I got from Nick is he wasn't just there trying to hit that check mark, oh hey, I met with a disgruntled customer, just to make him feel good. Nick seemed very genuinely concerned about the issues that I was having with my Coachmen, and he really wanted to find a way forward to make sure that Coachmen was meeting the quality standards that he had envisioned for Coachmen Class Bs. He sat with me and took about 2 pages of notes as I rambled on about all the issues that I had and my ideas for fixes that Coachmen could implement on the factory floor. After the sit down, Nick gave me a tour of the factory and we walked through the whole factory assembly process and talked shop about what potentially Coachmen can do to rectify some of these issues. For example, this is where I learned that Coachmen actually did not seal any hole that he drilled or cut in the van. And during our meeting, Nick did tell me that this is one of the issues that he will be focusing on rectifying in the future. Nick also agreed that the wiring that was in the Coachmen NOVA, and probably in the Beyond and Galleria models as well, I didn't actually get to look at those, but if I was a betting man, I would assume that it is the same level of quality that we see in my NOVA. He agrees that this is not reflective of the quality, the image, the name that he has envisioned for the Class B segment of Coachmen under his leadership. So Nick has assured me that he's going to be making some serious changes to rectify all of these electrical issues moving forward. He has informed me that he hired a master electrician that's going to report directly to him to overhaul the whole electrical process at Coachmen Class Bs. So everything from the installation, the quality, the presentation moving forward is going to be a resemblance of let's say a $167,000 MSRP. As we toured the rest of the plant, I talked to Nick about some of the other gripes that I had. For example, the television presentation with the wiring being exposed on the RB and C models of the Nova. I also told Nick that it's my opinion that leaving out a spare tire on the Novas was a big miss by Coachmen. Some of us like taking our Class Bs to national parks or BLM land or basically anywhere where there might not be cell phone service. And if you get caught with a flat tire that the bicycle pump provided in the Nova can't fix, you might be SOL with no cell phone service and really wishing you had a spare tire at that moment in time. Finally, Nick and I talked shop about some potential future upgrades/changes that would maybe include lizard skin for insulation, swapping out those flexible solar panels for something a little more of better quality, and possibly changing the position of them to the front of the van to free up some of that roof rag storage space near the ladder. You're so vicious. All right, so what did this Middlebury trip to Indiana cost me? So between gas and this Ram ProMaster getting about 9 to 10 miles per gallon on the trip down there when traveling at about 80 miles an hour. And the reason why I was going 80 was because the speed limit in the middle of nowhere is usually 80 miles an hour. So with 9 to 10 miles per gallon and the 1 million miles round trip that I did, with food and stuff like that, and I was conservative. I didn't include certain items that I bought because I didn't think it was fair to include them because, I was just kind of stocking my refrigerator as I normally would throughout the week. But with gas and food, $1,500. Now, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to get your van fixed that's under 100% factory warranty. The good news is, before I even told Nick that I was going to be doing a video or that I have done a video, he offered to cover all my expenses for the trip down to Middlebury, Indiana. Which again, was a reflection of Nick's and Coachmen's integrity and their extreme ownership that I saw them take throughout this whole process. So that pretty much sums up my trip down to the Coachmen factory in Middlebury, Indiana. Very unexpected trip. I started off very upset, very agitated, but I think it went as well, if not better than I could have ever expected. So, with that, all right, boys and girls, you made it. Final thoughts. Last video I said, would I ever recommend this Nova, Coachmen, whatever, to anybody? Would I say, hey, go out and buy it? I said absolutely not. I think that the answer to that question of whether I would recommend a Coachmen NOVA or any kind of Coachmen Class B for that matter is a little more complicated. So let me explain. I think anybody who's considering a Class B van is down to 4 choices. Choice number 1, don't buy a Class B. You avoid all these problems. It's pretty self-explanatory. Choice number 2 is you build it yourself. If you start going down the rabbit hole in the YouTube community and start looking at DIY van build videos, it's not hard. You can find a step-by-step tutorial for everything, whether it's electrical, flooring, how to frame the damn thing. It's all out there. But when you take on a project of that magnitude of building something yourself like this, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take perseverance, a lot of headache. It's gonna suck, right? It's not all unicorns and rainbows when you embark on a journey of that matter, but you're gonna do it right? And if you do something wrong, you did it. You didn't pay somebody $167,000 MSRP, depending on your model, for them to do it wrong. Choice number 3, you do a custom build. I think this choice is the best choice, right? Because these smaller, as Nick Recchio will call them, boutique builders, and I agree with them, the quality that they produce on a small scale is unparalleled compared to any of the major manufacturers. These guys, I think, saw what was going on in the major RV manufacturing industry, whatever you want to call it, and they said, I can do this better. And they did. You know, these guys are out there, they're doing insulation the right way. They're using lizard skin before they put any kind of insulation anywhere. Then they're insulating properly. They're doing the floors properly. They're doing the cabinets properly. They're doing the framing properly. They're using 80-27 steel. Now, this takes time. And that is the drawback of going to custom build, right? You're looking at a year to sometimes 2 years before you take delivery on a Class B van. Now, you're gonna get a Class B that outperforms and outclasses any major manufacturer at this point right now. It is the best option, and you're gonna get the best product, the best quality Class B van out there right now, currently to date, if you go one of these smaller boutique builders out there. So that's your choice number 3. Choice number 4, and I think this is where this part 1 and part 2 review is going to fall into, is you want to go with a major manufacturer. For option 4, if you decide to go with a major manufacturer, now what is the benefit of going with a major manufacturer? You get it now, instant gratification. You can go to any dealer, right? You can shop around, you can see what floor plan you like, you can see it, you can touch it, as tangible as there right there in front of you. You can put your damn deposit down, you can run your credit score, and leave with it. For those that decide to go with option 4 and go with a major manufacturer, would I recommend the Coachmen NOVA? I would say you should seriously consider the Coachmen Class B product, right? I can't speak for Forest River. I can't speak for any other Coachmen product, because what I learned at the Coachmen factory is there is a, as you would say, a separation of church and state, right? What happens with the fifth wheels of Coachmen and what happens with the Class Bs of Coachmen is 2 separate things, right? And under Nick Recchio's leadership, and after my experience with him and his team, I would say if you decide to go with a Class B with a major manufacturer, definitely consider a Coachmen. Because any Class B, whether it be Winnebago, Jayco, Coachmen, you name it, if you buy it, you're going to have problems. And the salespeople at these RV dealerships, they don't even hide the fact. When I showed up to every single RV dealership, it was like a running joke. They're like, well, you know, if you buy a Class B, that first year is just to work out all the kinks. You're going to have problems. It's going to be down for a month or 2 or 3 or 4. It's a well-known fact. Nobody even tries to hide it or sell these products as if you buy it and it's good to go off the rack. There has been zero incentive for major manufacturers to get it right, to produce a quality product. Because again, they still sell. Look at the RV industry right now. Everything is still flying off the racks. This Coachmen NOVA that I have right now, it's not 100% right. It's not even 90% right. There's still some stuff going on, as I annotated in this video. And the only reason why I have decided to keep this Nova, because again, when I went to Coachmen in Middlebury, Indiana, I was 100% convinced that once this thing was fixed, I'm selling it, I'm getting rid of it, and I'm doing my own build, because I did not trust this product anymore. And I still don't have 100% faith in the product, but I have 100% faith in the company. Again, the company being Coachmen Class B segment under Nick Recchio's leadership. So I'm going to keep this Nova. And again, it's only because of the customer service that I receive from Coachmen. As I said in the first video, right, I always judge people, entities, businesses on how they conduct themselves, on how they act when things go wrong. Things went wrong. Things are still wrong. And these guys take extreme ownership. And that blew me away. So, with that long-winded explanation of part 4, this is my Coachmen NOVA owner review. Again, this is my experience. This is not the experience. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Stay tuned for follow-on videos. As always, I'm Vasya. This is Rolo doing what he does best. He's my little boy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, comment. Let's push this to the YouTube algorithm, and let's allow other people to see this honest review from an owner to help them in their decision of whether to buy, build, custom, or just don't do it at all. See you guys next time. Let's see it, Nick. Okay, and then the hush mat. That's retarded. So it works.
Yeah,
it works. It's not just for show. It's not a marketing gimmick.
Yep, no, we love it.
What do they call it, snake oil or whatever?
Yeah.
It's not that.
No, it does the trick.